What is popping, y'all? It's your man, Cloudboy Bales, and welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly. Today's episode, obviously, as you can see with the title, we're talking Brewers. It is, I would say, the midpoint of the season. You know, I technically call the All-Star break that, even though it's just a little bit over halfway, I technically call it the halfway point of the season because it's a break, you know? We don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, I don't think they resume games until Saturday. So, you know what? They have a couple days off just to take some time off, relax. Obviously, some of the All-Stars get to represent the team. Shout out to Christian Yelich and William Contreras, both All-Stars starters this year for the Brewers. Great news, and hopefully they can represent the Brewers in the best way possible. So far, right now, the Brewers are currently in first place. I did not think with where we were at, you know, with everything that's happened this offseason, you know, we traded away Corbin Burns for some young prospects. Craig Counsell left us for the Cubs. Nobody was even considering the Brewers. Everybody was thinking, you know, last place, this team's going to rebuild. They're going to likely trade their veterans like Adames, who's on his contract year. They signed Hoskins because no one wanted him, and he'll go somewhere else. And, you know, there's a young team that is just going to be rebuilding, and it's going to be, you know, a rebuild year, and everything's going to kind of fall apart. And, you know, that's how it, you know, how it was in the past. But instead, we're in first place right now. Now, we were doing really well. Now, our division, honestly, has gotten very tough. We're in first place right now. The Cardinals are 4.5 games back. Cardinals started the season out so bad, then they turned it around, and now they're over 500. I mean, kudos to whatever they did to figure it out. The Pirates are exactly at 500 in third place. But the Pirates are one of those teams that is everyone's sleeping on. They happen to be doing way better as of lately. And also the Reds and the Cubs. You know, Reds are in fourth, Cubs are in fifth place. But everybody right now, Cubs are in fifth place. That's just great. But literally, our division right now is very competitive. Right now, obviously, we have a good lead right now. And we would obviously, if everything ended, we would win the division. That would be great because, you know, in Pat Murphy's first year as manager, everyone's going to be thinking, oh, maybe Craig Counsell was the problem all along. But 2.5 months left to go till we really kind of figure all that stuff out. But before I get on with all the rest of the thoughts, obviously, if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts. And then also, if the Brewers win the division and make the playoffs, Pat Murphy should at least be a finalist for Manager of the Year because of everything that's happened. I mean, and I'm going to obviously talk about the big reason why he really should be considered. Obviously, we got rid of our ace, Corbin Burns. Brandon Woodruff, even though we cut him, they re-signed him, and he'll be back next year, which is good news. We'll have Brandon Woodruff back next year, but he's obviously sitting the entire year. Freddie Peralta was our only actual starter. You know, we've had to rely on a lot of no-names and rookies to really get through wins. Or people had to switch into becoming starters because of how many injuries there's been. We have had, I think, 13, 14 different starting pitchers. I don't know. It's more than anybody. Now, a lot of those were lefty relievers that start for an inning, and then the guy who usually would start come in. Now, that has been a lot. But we have had so many different people starting a game for the Brewers this season. It's honestly hard to keep up. The only two that have been really consistent is Freddie Peralta and Colin Ray. Those two are the only ones that have really started a majority of the games. We've had so many different people start a game. We had Joe Ross in there. He's been injured. We have Jake Junis. Now he's a reliever. DL Hall, who's been injured. Wade Miley we re-signed, only for him to get injured, and unfortunately his season ended early. That would likely be his career too, unfortunately, but that is what it is. We've had some rookies come in. Carlos F. Rodriguez, he was terrible, so they likely won't see him again unless it's an emergency. We saw Robert Gasser, a guy that has a lot of optimism and hope because he really looked like he was going to be a great future lefty for this organization. Fortunately, a season-ending injury, and he's going to get Tommy John surgery. He will not be back until the middle of next year, so that's a big blow. And Tobias Myers, out of all people, he's a rookie that I never even heard of, and he's been starting games, and he's been our best pitcher this year. It's just been crazy. We've literally had, and then recently, we just traded for Adam Savale, who we're hoping can actually, who really was great last year, and then was traded to the Rays, who's been terrible there, and hopefully he gets it turned around here. And even we've had different people who have just come up and even play games. I mean, Aaron Ashby's been so bad. He's been kind of up and down the minors. We only seen him 2 times this year, and I guess they probably don't want to bring him back up. And even Dallas Keuchel was a Brewer for only like 4 games. A lot of pitching, a lot of that. But the Brewers have managed, despite these pitching woes, and finally Bryce Wilson, who was a reliever, had to become a starter for the moment. Now he's back to a reliever, but I just think it's crazy that we've had to have so many different people starting games. But because of that, it's gotten a lot of different people to be more confident in themselves. And we're seeing some young stars likely maybe form within our eyes within Myers and Gasser. Now, obviously, Mizorowski is supposed to be our ace of the future, but we're obviously waiting on that probably until next year. We likely will not see him. I don't think he's even close to ready yet. But a lot can happen. I think our pitching is definitely it's inconsistent. Is it going to win you a playoff series? Probably not, but we need a probable ace. Like, for example, we had to trade for Sabathia to get into the postseason. Now, the difference is, I don't think there's really any, it's like the same exact thing. We were an ace. Freddie Peralta, like, we know Ben Sheets was great, but he was having a very inconsistent year as well as Freddie Peralta. Then we traded for Sabathia and got ourselves an ace. You know, we definitely could use a guy like that. I don't think there's really anyone available to do that because they would probably have to give up their full farm system for it. But it's very possible. A lot of big names out there. I'm definitely going to make another video in the future of obviously talking about future candidates for that role. And obviously that will come at a later time. And then our relief pitchers. The only issue was people were very inconsistent. We thought with Devin Williams' injury, hopefully he is back sooner than later. I believe he'll be back at some point after the All-Star break. He was doing some rehab assignments already. My belief is he'll be back at least before August. So that's great news to see that Devin Williams will be back soon. But in his stead, we had to find a guy that was likely going to be that closer role. Thought it was going to be Abner Uribe, but he just got off to a bad start and then got himself into a fight. And yeah, it just a lot of crazy stuff. And then Payamps, who was our setup guy last year, let's just say he's been bad this year. Then they had to go to Trevor McGill, and he's been fantastic. So I give a whole lot of gratitude to Trevor McGill for really doing a great job. Even though his last game was unfortunately a blown save, all year he's been fantastic. So I got to give him a huge round of applause for basically filling in that role. Pretty much he's going to be the setup guy to Devin Williams when he comes back. And then also some of these other guys that have really kind of stepped up. Brian Hudson really stepped up as a reliever. We've never even heard of him. A minor league contract with the Dodgers that he was on, and then we picked him up. Been our best reliever this year as a lefty. Lefties were a huge issue last year. With Hobie really struggling. Hobie Milner has struggled this year. With him really struggling this year, we have him, and also a guy like Jared Koenig has been coming in and doing some great things as well. So, obviously, that's some great stuff. I think, our bullpen is very inconsistent. Now, with Wilson switching back to the bullpen, I think that's obviously going to help. The hope is that, like, Peguero, Payamps, and Milner could hopefully turn it around in the second half of the season. But my hope is that Hudson, McGill, and Williams could definitely be the 3 that kind of, 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning, just like how it was when Council always had, like, somebody at that role. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. But But that's our pitching. Our outfield, our hitters, our infielders, our catchers. You know what? This is the first time where I don't believe we nearly need to make a trade for somebody. Last year we did that with Santana, Canna, and picked up Donaldson. But looking at it, I think this Brewers offense, these young guys, I don't think we need any veterans. Like, truthfully, I don't believe it. I think our starting lineup likely is actually a decent starting lineup. Terang has been a fantastic leadoff hitter. He's also been a fantastic defender. He's a future Gold Glove guy. I mean, he's going to be a future Gold Glover. And I can't wait to see what he brings. And he's been a great leadoff hitter, and he is second in baseball with 30 stolen bases. Crazy. What? And after I said he wouldn't even make the starting roster and be so bad that they're going to move on from him, he has done a whole heck of a great job as a leadoff hitter. William Contreras obviously has been mainly the second spot. Started out the season fantastic. I mean, he was unstoppable. He slowed down a little bit in June, but now he's starting to pick it back up. I think he's on pace for maybe getting 200 hits. I don't know, but he's really having a great season, and I expected him to be the starting catcher, and he is the starting catcher in the All-Star game, so yay. Mainly batting third is Christian Yelich, and I'm not saying he's the MVP, but he's the only one still batting over 300. He's been fantastic. He's been our best hitter. He's always getting on base. And what would this team be without him? He's clearly the MVP of this team. Where would we be without Christian Yelich? He's just been outstanding, and I'm glad to see that he's having his best year since 2019. It's just great to finally see Christian Yelich really doing what he wants to do. At the cleanup spot has been Willy Adames. They haven't really moved him around, but compared to the last two seasons, he's hitting home runs. I think he has the most RBIs out of any shortstop in the NL. Even that's sad that he's not even an all-star. Boo-hoo. But he's having a way better season. I mean, last year he was barely batting over 200. This year he's at like 244. Yeah, obviously he had a 4-hit game yesterday, but it's good to see that those four to start out your lineup every single game, almost every single game, is going to be great. Let's talk about the rest of the people. Mainly for Sal Frelick, I think has been the 5 guy. He's batting like 270, and even though he doesn't have many home runs and RBIs, he is doing fantastic in the outfield as a defender, and he's been great. I mean, he should be an everyday starter because of his defense. I mean, that and his ability to actually get on base. We thought he was going to be the leadoff hitter, but he didn't really seem to do well in that role, so they switched him to there, and he's been really a lot more comfortable at the 5 spot. At the 6 spot is where we had Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins, I can say he's been doing good things, but he hasn't really been hitting well this season. He's only hitting like 214, but he has the second most home runs and 40-something RBIs. I mean, he'll either hit a home run or strike out. That's what you're going to get with him, but we have so many good other options. Hoskins is just doing... I don't really think he needs a role. I think he just needs to continue doing that. And if he hits home runs, great. I don't really want to say anything bad. I mean, I'm not saying he's the most disappointing player this season, but he's done things to make me at least say, yeah, he's doing what I want. And then after Hoskins, we've been switching things up a little bit. Joey Ortiz should have been an all-star this year. He should be up for Rookie of the Year. He's been fantastic. He's been our best rookie this year. You know what? And he's great defensively. He's going to be a great player. If they lose Adames, I'm assuming they're going to put him at shortstop, knowing that Brock Wilken will be activated and be put at third base at some point. But Ortiz is going to... I hope they re-sign Adames. That's all I can say. But Ortiz is going to be a great player too. I'm excited to see what he can bring. And he's been mainly that spot. And then Jackson Chourio. He started out a little rough. He started out doing stuff. Then he started out a little rough. And now I think he's starting to finally get in his rhythm. And that is so great to see. I'm hoping he can really contribute more defensively. But I can't wait to see what Chourio brings. He's going to be an exciting player. Just looking at him, the stuff he's done this season already inside the park home run. I can't wait to see what Chourio does. And I was like, oh, I think he'll win Rookie of the Year. Well, no, Skeens is winning Rookie of the Year. I think it's quite obvious already. But, man, I'm glad that Ortiz and Chourio have been some fantastic rookies this season. And I'm happy to definitely see that those guys can definitely contribute. And then obviously we've been starting a lot of different people. Jake Bauers has been a decent backup first baseman. Gary Sanchez has actually done a great job as a backup catcher. All different people have been kind of starting. We just got Garrett Mitchell back, so that's great news. Hopefully he can contribute and get up to the level that we expected him to be. Also, Blake Perkins, another outfielder, has been great defensively. And, we got some other guys in there that kind of do some things. Andrew Monasterio from last year is still there. He's done some things, Everybody has been a great contributor. And, we've had some different people, But this offense, from what I'm hearing from this offense, we have some guys that play great defense when they're on, obviously, in the outfield. But these guys aren't the greatest hitters, but they can get the job done. They're not trying to go for home runs every single game. These guys can just hit the ball with ease, and that's what I really like about this team. They play small ball, something that Craig Counsell has not really been able to do. And with Murphy, I felt like they've been more free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're more free. They're like exploring that they can do things, and I'm just happy to see that this is what's been going on, and I can't wait to see the future. Obviously what the Brewers I think could do definitely is hopefully trade for a starting pitcher. It would be a definitely great thing. And then also, if you want to go after maybe another position player like an older veteran or something, you could do that. It's very possible. But with where we're at, with how stacked our outfield is and how the great of defenders that these infielders are, I don't really think they should touch the offense. The only thing I would go after is maybe a designated hitter, but I wouldn't touch the offense. The pitching is what really needs work. We don't have a consistent starter. I think they should go after an ace, and I definitely think they should go after a reliever that could possibly be a setup guy or something like that nature. So, yeah, that's that. So if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and as always, more to come. I will be making a video soon, giving my individual grades for the Milwaukee Brewers this season. Obviously, I have a lot of intake on that. So if you like what you see, comment below, subscribe, and we will see you next time.